problems occur. So really this is sort of like the idea that government involved in a democracy has a role to play in supporting and transitioning communities to make certain changes happen.
And to what extent does the I was just going to say, did you all look at the West Coast Forest Accords in terms of a model for what a transition might look like?
We looked, now this is, I should say, Joe, one thing I should have said is the main authors of this report, I did quite a bit of editing on it, but I wasn't one of the main authors. And for the record, the main authors were Jeanette Fitzsimons, Rosemary Penboard and Cindy Baxter, and other members of the college, never got there all. Jeanette would be a much better person to answer that particular question than I would. But one of the, I don't think we really looked at that as a model, but somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here. I think that is, it is from that Development West Coast was set up with their $92 million fund. But one of the things we address in here is the way, in fact, which in fact, for a variety of reasons, Development West Coast has not really done anything with that fund. They basically sat on the capital and spent the interest on Development West Coast. So that has had direct consequences for this. But I think one of the things it does point out is that a solution, you've got to find that balance. A solution imposed from without isn't going to work. Leaving regions and towns to do it all by themselves isn't going to work either. So finding that balance between local initiative and central support that doesn't end up taking over is one of the trickiest things. But of course, before you can do that, you have to have, if there's central government support, there has to be a central government that actually has some interest in providing that support. We do not currently have such a government.
Yes, and that's where democracy, the wider question of democracy comes into play. Because, you can have all sorts of, the problem is this fundamental contradiction, like the drivers of society. And but, this is where the union movement will, I believe, play a key part in fundamentally changing the way that, the way that we, the crisis that is climate change and what can be done about it. Because we need to figure out ways, mechanisms of empowering communities, a community being empowered, and whether that's a workplace community or whether that's the wider communities, and being able to affect change in your workplace, being able to get arrange a collective meeting of like 10 people and just sorting out a breaks issue. It's like these are, the funny thing is, it's like actually climate change is something that I would say most of the members at Unite know about or want to do something about, and it's kind of like actually that might be just as important as breaks. So I think there are obviously key questions, and we've kind of been talking about just transitions and things like that, but there's also the other question of, how you can organise collectively and what spaces you can organise collectively in. And I think that while, different environmental aspects of environmental organising will focus on things like just transitions, also another thing about the union movement is that it's a place where people come together, and that's powerful in itself.
Just a question about, in terms of the other examples where communities have transitioned to other types of industries and other types of work, could you just give us just say what some of those are?
Yeah, sure. I didn't pre-prepare this question. Okay, well, it's interesting because in a way it's the most relevant example. Now, I'll stop hedging it about. Rather than, there's a lot of, I should say this is available from the, download this from the Collection Network website. And actually the best thing to do is probably actually get there, read section 6, which is about those examples. But I'm actually going to talk about Southland. Now, Southland hasn't adopted a policy of moving away from fossil fuels. Southland is in fact one of the regions where coal is mined, although it's, as a part of the economy, it's a much smaller part than it is on the West Coast. And Southland, however, has a body called Venture Southland, which is kind of, the equivalent of Development West Coast. And it has been much more hospitable, it's been a much more active body than Development West Coast, and much more hospitable to the idea of promoting transitions. And one very concrete example of that at the moment is that they're working with the government, much, somewhat surprising but true, to put in place a wood energy plan for Southland. So in Southland there are in fact examples of heat plants which used to burn coal or lignite and now burn wood. I mean, I also have to say there's some pretty big ones that are burning coal or lignite. So that's an example where you've got a relationship, and again Ed would be a much better place to talk about this than I am, but you've got a relationship between the development of an industry which uses the various products of forestry, including the wood waste, which so often is not used and winds up polluting rivers and harbours, and instead that's actually being used as a source of heat. So you've got jobs being created in a renewable industry, and you've got a move away from fossil fuels. As I say, I'm not sure that one can say that Southland hasn't adopted a we're going to have a fossil-free future approach, but that's just one very concrete example. There was a report issued, WWF commissioned a report called, I think it was called A View to the South, a low carbon future for Southland. I may have that title slightly wrong. And it actually did that kind of analysis of what could be done and what should be done in Southland. And that was in the context of the plans to mine about 1.5 billion tonnes of lignite in the Aotearoa Valley, which would make a huge increase in New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions. The lignite plans haven't gone ahead, but some of the moves that have been recommended in that report have gone ahead. So I guess what I'm saying is, as well as the overseas examples you find in this report, there are examples from a place which is, I don't want to overplay its similarity with the West Coast, but does have some similarity. You know, just down the road, there are examples of some of the things that could be done on the West Coast actually being done.
I'll just quick just on it. I think there's another fault that we need to actually be aware of. It's underwater mining. Underwater mining that's happening, which is I just made a little note on the talk, gold, silver, zinc.
Yep.
You know, and these are like these big rooms that have been there. And how they do, they just go down there, got a big massive dredge, and just wipe them out. These are like hundreds of thousands of years old. These big old rooms of zinc and silver, when they were taken out. You know, so there's massive damage. The corals that are thousands of years old, and then they've got all the marine life that's even here. You know, there's no difference in what they're doing to the comparing, doing the damage what they're doing there to the rainforest. Yeah, but there's one difference, is that you can see the damage they're doing to the rainforest. You know, you look out there, they extract it, and they pull out millions of tons of seaweed out, rinse it through down, and then where they go, they just take it back out and spit it back out in the ocean again. That sits there, the sediment settles, and it's like, oh, gee, the next day they come up, oh, beautiful, go for a swim, everything's great. You know, and yet you chop down thousands of acres of trees, you see, geez, what's happening here? You know, so there's that other part that's happening. We have the company Nautilus, and I think it's Neptune, because underwater miners refuse to come, in the end they want to come here, mine down the west coast, or sit down with them, we really got a deal, but in the end he says, no, right, we just don't want to deal with humans, and says, you won't deal with this backyard now. They say, you can't, well, it's just expose you for what you're doing. Like, we're giving you a big brochure, everything. This is what we're doing, this is what we've done all around the world, this is what you've done up in Papua New Guinea, this is what you've done, you stripped mining up there underwater. That's what you've been doing, these are all the photos. And they just went sat there and just dropped off. But they still to this day own thousands of hectares of underwater, off our coast, on New Zealand land, down the west coast, all over New Zealand, all prime. They've got main, like the veins with gold, running right through there, they run right into the water, silver, everything here. So it's all there. They're just sitting there waiting, just waiting. So that's another thing that's happening. It hasn't been prioritised, it's there.
Happening from solid energy of those workers, and to me it was very stark. Like, this is absolutely sudden transition, okay? And people had nothing to lose, they lost their jobs, and we as a working class, like the fight, it's always hard to fight restructuring, it's always hard to fight job losses. So when it was that immediate, there were very little wins on a collective our side. So let alone a kind of like, oh, in 15 years, Scotland's going to be winding down, da 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 da. So once we get to a point where we can fight for and ensure ongoing work for communities on the coast, or any of us in those kind of industries, we're going to need to be so much stronger in our unions and in our communities, I believe.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess there has been lots of discussion about, were there any other key points you wanted to make, Tim, about the Jobs After Coal report? No? Okay.
There's plenty more in it.
Yeah, fair enough. Then I guess the one other thing which kind of relates to both Tim and yourself, Joe, and I guess, well, any worker sort of in the fossil fuel industry, is there an emotional connection or a regional identity based around that type of work? So was this seen when Canna put together Jobs After Coal? Is this something you know quite a bit about, Joe? Is this something you've experienced, Ed? That there's an emotional connection?
To the fossil fuel industry?
Well, to that type of work.
Well,
Or is there an identity?
as far as the maritime is concerned, it's like, well, yeah, there is, because it's and we're very similar to the mines, but we have very strong connections. And I was talking to someone before, like our first 1913 great strike in New Zealand was a maritime strike, strongly supported by the miners. They were our first, they were back in our friends' backyard, and then who supported us, internationally? The Australian miners. I was just over there just last week at the 100-year centenary, 1951 lockout. They were there, the second biggest donor, to support waterside workers in New Zealand. And you see, so there's a very good, I'm fifth generation, my boys are sixth generation, seafarer and dock worker. So my family, we come through, we were seafarers and dock workers in Ireland and Cork, through to Liverpool, and then come out here. My dad came out here, and work come on. So, now the Chief Secretary of the Union, So I was 15 when I first shipped out, and 50, 59 soon, so I was coming up to 36 years in the union. So, majority of the one I shipped out with, we're very strong, very, dedicated to the industry, and port workers all their lives, seafarers, and just like the miners, it's like, that's what it was, that's what you did. You committed to, the survival of the industry. Just like everyone else, you've got the woodworkers, rail workers, steel workers, etc. Very long, proud histories of trade unions, working class. So there is, but asking if a lot of other seafarers would want to change their job and go and work somewhere else, probably the answer would be no, because that's what it is. It's what they've done. Miners have mined all their lives. So it's a very big it's a big change. Taking steel workers out and now he's going to go on civil assembly line. Seafarers at sea, now there's no more ships. But there was a ship here, but you've just got to go and compete with someone else that's getting $5 an hour. So there's all these things, And it's hard when your own government won't put these, social conscience responsibilities in place to protect their own country. And that's what really, gives me the shits, they come every 3 years they come for our vote to support them, and yet on the other side of the coin, they do nothing to protect us in our own country, Everyone deserves the right to work in your own country. And it's like I said at sea, no problems. You have 1,000 jobs, and you have 800 seafarers, you need 200. Training from New Zealand, foreign seafarers don't care when you in, but they work on our terms and conditions. It's not hard, We're a country of immigrants. We are, Shouldn't fear that, foreign workers come here, but we should fear the right that the government has the right and does undermine our terms and conditions. So we bring them in here and make everyone work for lesser wages. It's one fear.
Tim, was regional identity an issue in the Canna report?
It's true to say, and I think it's a valid criticism of the report, but the report itself doesn't address that. I think it's also true, well, not directly anyway. it's